Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life could be a little bit dark, it could be a little bit miserable, so we're here to bring you some light and hopefully a little bit of joy. Once again, I'm Bradley. Joining me this week, he's not feeling so well this week, so unfortunately for him, fortunately for me, and fortunately for you guys, I actually get to get some words in this week because he's not feeling very well. It's Stu.
Yeah, I'm normally stepping all over the podcast and causing problems, but not today. Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually get to get some words in because I'm very timid and, you know, I'm very quiet. And don't get to say
shy,
much.
Retiring. Yeah, that sums you up to a T.
Do you know, right, I just want to say, right, I didn't think we was that influential, Stu, right? I didn't think we was that influential, but I like to think that last week we got Suella Braverman sacked.
Seemed to be, a coincidence? Or, did we actually bring her down for? Yeah, that was a good time. Yeah, that lasted all of about 10 seconds before government went, how can we screw it up this week? And they decided to vote no to a ceasefire. Well done. Oh, I know.
238 ministers essentially going, nah, death is fine.
That's pretty much standard for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know, I find no matter which party it is, that always seems to be the case. I'm not going to hold Labour up as some exemplars of that. So,
they're going to lose this election somehow.
Who are Labour?
Yeah.
They might do. They might bin it.
They're going to lose it to the Tories because they're just Tories in disguise.
That's true.
And I know many Labour supporters. I mean, I'm not a supporter of any political party. I just like whoever's the least evil. But it's like, I know many Labour supporters who are going, what is going on? I'm not voting Labour because they're just as bad, if not worse, at the moment with a lot of what they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a mess. An uprising is going to come, and I think all the posh seats are going to be in for a bit of a shock one day because I don't know how much more as a nation we can take.
Yeah, it does feel like we've kind of reached the brink of what can be accepted.
Yeah, there's such divide everywhere. Like J.K. Rowling's been off on one again, Graham Lineham's been off on one again, racists are rising their horrible faces again, and there's no wonder we like to escape, Stu. I haven't even got a pithy thingy this week because I just can't think of one, so yeah, thank God for video games sometimes.
I know too, right. And speaking of video games, what have you been playing this week, Bradley?
So, as we all know, life in the country is miserable. I don't mean the country, I mean our country. Life in every country, most countries, is miserable. So, have you ever wanted just to get away from it all, maybe climb a mountain in just complete solitude?
Only every day.
So you could do that in what was one of my favourite games of one of the most recent Next Fests on Steam, and that is Jusant. It's French, I believe, and it means something. It's not. Anyway, it's a mountain climbing game of sorts that has a very pastel-y graphic style, which I really like. I really like that soft tones graphic style. It reminds me a lot of the Team Eco games in like visual presentation. And yeah, you basically with this game you're climbing a mountain as a story kind of unfolds around you. And I won't tell anything about the story and the secrets that are there within because that's massive spoilers and will ruin the experience. But I've just had a wonderful time with this game. The climbing in it is really intuitive, and it's just as simple as you use your right trigger for your right hand, your left trigger for your left hand, and left stick to basically reach for things and move. You hold the right trigger to grip something with your right hand and release it to let go. Same with your left hand, but with the left trigger. And then you move up and around the mountain, finding various grips and things like that. And it's for a mechanic that people generally hate in the likes of Uncharted or Tomb Raider or the Legend of Zelda games, the two recent Legend of Zelda games. They built a game around the entire mechanic and made it interesting and fun, so much so that the next Uncharted or whatever really has to think about how they do their climbing mechanics because it shows it can be fun and interesting and not just an add-on. And yeah, the vistas in this game are beautiful. It's like really good. You're literally just climbing up and up and up and up and across and up and up and across again, and you discover something new. You might have some like towers and things you might need to get where there's been inhabitants before. You might be in some very lonely places that are just pure like mountain, like rock cliff face or mountain face or whatever you want to call it. And then there's like these weird secrets you unlock. There's caves to go into. And considering you got about, there's loads of different sort of like biomes in there as well. And it's just like this natural progression of a story that happens whilst you're climbing. It's not told to you with any voices. There's no narrative, like actual like in your face narrative. It's just something that naturally happens as you're climbing and discovering the world. And it's just, it's absolutely beautiful. And it is pure escapism. And yeah, absolutely stunning game.
Yeah, well, we talked about it quite a while ago, I think, when you played the demo. Because I asked about, what's the value to it versus VR climbing games, of which there are a lot of them. And it's because it sounds like it does a similar control thing. And, you said then as now, really, that it's more like a kind of like Eco or Journey or Flower, that kind of an experiential game.
Yes.
So that, it does sound really intriguing. I think I'm going to try it out. And I think it's got quite a positive response and quite a big response, because isn't it on Game Pass as well?
I believe it's on Xbox Game Pass. I've got it on Steam, so I can play it on my Steam Deck, because that's where I play all my games. But yeah, it's I believe you can get it for now if you've got a Game Pass sub. It's by Don't Nod. So it's quality.
Yes.
Even people who turn around and say to me, they've made some stinkers, I turn around and say, no, remember me is bloody good, you're just wrong. They cut their teeth on experimental games. And, time will tell with that one. People will look back on that one day and go, actually, that was really good, because it was good. And you can see almost elements of, because that adds some really good natural climbing to it as well. You can almost sense a little bit of that in there, because I say that the way you traversed in Remember Me was really natural compared to other games of the time as well, and that's what really got me onto it. But yeah, this is just takes everything about climbing it that is usually trash and just makes it fun. And I say it's just great to be. It's a wonderful world to be in. And I just don't want to say too much, because the discovery in it is sublime. Both from the extra things you find to help you climb, to the mysteries you'll discover. All of that is just brilliant. And just the visuals, considering you're climbing up a snowy mountain, just the diverse amount of biomes and visual changes are there is really something to behold. I did wonder from the demo whether it might be a bit samey and lose its impact. Not a chance. It keeps the same impact throughout the game. Doesn't outstay its welcome. It's short enough. It's got a lovely atmospheric soundtrack to it. And absolutely stunning.
Yeah, good stuff. I might have to rebuy Remember Me, because I had it on, what was it? Probably PS3?
Xbox 360, PS3 it came out.
Yeah, I had it.
Probably get it for about 50p on Steam.
Yeah, it was $4.59 in a sale at the moment until the 21st of November. It's the 16th as we write. So yeah, if you're interested, you got a few days.
If you can't get £4.50's worth of value out of it, then there's something wrong. I mean, it is flawed. I mean, I don't want to re-review Remember Me. It's not the best game ever. It is flawed. But it's nowhere near as bad as a lot of people made it out. And at the time when I was just like originally doing reviews and stuff like that, where I was flying through everything, it's one of the games I actually spent so much time with and completed completely finished 100%. There you go, that's the word. So yeah,
worth it, I think, definitely.
So what's your one game this week, Stu?
Well, it's just one, but it's a big one. Because everything, of course, as we've said, is stacked towards the end of the year, which makes trying to fit everything in fun if you want to review these things. But I, took the plunge, and it was definitely worth it. And that is Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, which is it's called a DLC, but it's like The Witcher, Blood and Wine. It's big enough to be considered a game in its own right, really. It's like probably 12 hours or so, but massive for DLC. And they've done it again. They've done it again. had a great core game, and then the DLC has just absolutely knocked it out the park towards the next park, past that park and into the next city boundaries. So it kind of takes everything that was good about Cyberpunk 2077, which was a lot. It was an excellent, excellent game. I know that it had like teething problems, and of course that changes how people feel about a game, but it was a really good game even with some of the bugs. And then they've kind of stomped all the bugs, and they've also now done the DLC, which incorporates all of the changes. It's got a new kind of development and weapon system and upgrade paths that are like more applicable to what you're doing. They're easier to understand, and they have better perks. And more importantly than that, because I always enjoyed the kind of the weapon combat systems, all of that anyway. Well, even better than that, even though that's improved, the interactions with people have got even better. And again, that was already good. So what it does so well, it kind of makes them sort of prescriptive. So it's still an RPG. It's not kind of like you're just wandering around like a Bethesda game and you'll speak to people, and sometimes what they say is interesting and sometimes it's not. It's got that thing where everyone's part of a faction. You have a relationship to that faction, whether it's positive or negative or neutral. And there are people within those factions, some of whom you'll need to connect with and some who you'll want to avoid or you want to have combat with. And you've got special characters who you need to have full, they take off on branching paths of narrative. And the way that it flows and intermingles with all those things is so good. The pace is kind of really amazing. It never flags, but it doesn't feel like it's pushing you too hard to do one particular thing or go in a certain direction. But at the same time, it doesn't make you think, oh my God, a nuclear bomb's falling out the sky, but can you go off and collect, 20 rupees for this person before you stop that happening?
Yeah.
The balance of that is really clever. And overall, CD Projekt Red just feel like they've picked apart all the things that make a Western RPG and just discarded the fluff and just left it out. It looks amazing. It looks even better now that it's been, it's on patch 2.02 at the time of recording. It moves beautifully. It looks incredible on a PC. It looks very, very good on Steam Deck. Like it works surprisingly well. It's basically it's right at the end of the year, pushing right into my top 10. It's really good.
So, a couple of questions. First things first. We said, I want to say towards the end of 2021. When did this first release, by the way? Was it 2021 it released?
It was 2020, unbelievably.
Jesus, was that
December 2020, yeah.
And I remember we had a discussion about the mess of the release, could it sink CD Projekt Red? Because everything they were saying, that their PR coming out of it and everything was just shocking at the time. Is this up there with No Man's Sky in terms of redemption arc?
Well, I suppose to put the question back to you is: do you feel like it needed that much redemption? Do you feel it was that bad?
I do. Right. I do. Yeah, not just because of the bugs and everything. It was the attitude towards it, the marketing towards it. Don't forget, Sony pulled the game off their store because it was that bad as well. Plus, they had the issues with how they was writing trans characters and things like that, and stories that were coming out about crunch and stuff like that. It just seemed like everything was hitting them at once. And I say that culminating with a mess of a release. Whether everyone had that or not, doesn't matter. It got out there how bad of a mess it was. I felt that I could easily have gone the way of, what was that really bad Assassin's Creed? I don't say all of them. The one that was set in France. But anyway, the really, really bad Assassin's Creed that absolutely tanked the way they did things, because I think they was talking about, it was the same game where, Ubisoft Montreal, or whoever it was that made that one, were talking about you couldn't just make female characters. It was difficult to add female characters into the game or something. Some bollocks, and it had all the bugs with the teeth and the eyes and stuff like that. It was that levels of bad. And I didn't see a recovery for that particular game. I really imagined CD Projekt Red getting it out to a point where it was passable, and then just moving on, just going, oh, look, here's Witcher 4, or something like that, to try and sort of like divert attention away. So, yeah, I'm impressed with what they've done here. And they've stuck to it, and they've rewarded those who were along for the journey. I think it's really impressive of them. And credit where credit's due to them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of being on the inside of it a bit more, see a lot of the failings, and I think of that initial release, and I think that the general public didn't always have such a bad regard of it. I think mainly because on the new consoles it ran really well. It had to be, pulled from the old consoles, and I think it disappeared off the store completely, but it was really only PS4 and Xbox, whatever they're called, the one that I've got, where it was really, really unplayable. And there were some issues on the PC versions, basically.
Yeah.
There were problems with the PC versions, but they weren't insurmountable, and some of them could be brute forced out of the way. And I think the overall view of that, plus the issue with like trans representation and some of the sexism in the game, made it all feel a bit of a mess. It's on a technical, let's deal with the trans thing first. It's far less sexist than it was, I'm really pleased to say.
Yeah.
There's still a couple of billboards that are kind of sexist in a way that, I think they're trying to say, oh, we're in on the joke. We're using the male gaze as a joke kind of thing here.
Yeah.
And I don't think they are, and I don't think they've succeeded in that. I think they've learnt that lesson, but they've left a couple in because otherwise it wouldn't be the same world that it was.
Of course. Which
I don't condone necessarily, but they're practically non-existent now in Dogtown, which is the new area that you're in, and a couple of the new areas I've seen. Yeah, it's pretty much gone. You can have any body type that you want. Now as well, which is great, with any genitalia.
I think you could do that in the original game as well, because I remember being quite surprised that was in there, considering the furore around it.
Yes, exactly. So I think they wanted to. I think they thought they were clever, walking a tightrope between, having sort of LGBTQ plus representation and showing hypersexualized imagery. Thinking,
I think they understood satire like Alanis Morissette understands irony.
Exactly. I think it was tonal whiplash. I think they got it wrong. I think they've made up for it now to a degree at least. So there's that.
Yeah. And we always say that if you make a mistake, own the mistake. And that's what they've seemingly done. So proof will be in the pudding for whatever their next game is. But yeah, seemingly benefit of the doubt, they seem to have learned from their mistakes.
Yeah, they do. And on a technical level, it was never as bad as Starfield was on the PC. Good God, that thing was an absolute mess. So, all that Assassin's Creed game, I've no idea which one. I haven't bought one of them in 15 years. But, so, it's technically excellent. It's almost peerless looking. It runs really well on practically anything that you put it on. The story's great. It's just a really excellent video game now, and I think I think it's turned it around to answer the question. Yeah,
excellent. And the other question I've got about it, and I can't remember this. I need to go back and play it, and I've never really got that far into it yet. I've just been playing Yakuza, not Yakuza because it's not Yakuza anymore. I've been playing Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, because that's the title. And it is fully self-contained. There's loads of stuff to do in it, side mission stuff like that. And they've just made a wonderful single-player experience that doesn't feel like it's got any need for any microtransactions or needless add-ons or anything like that. Are both the main game and the DLC both completely self-contained? You don't feel like you've got to buy anything extra or anything like that to get the most out of it?
They're completely linked. You can't get the DLC. Even if you buy the DLC, if you've not played...
Yeah, no, sorry, what I meant was, there's no sort of microtransactions or gubbins, is there?
No.
No, good.
No MTX, nothing else needed. Nope.
Good. I'm glad that. It's one I've got to get round to playing. I didn't play The Witcher until a few years after it came out, so I think that's how I do things with CD Projekt games, so I'll get to it. I'll get to
That's
it.
the rule of thumb for like 99% of any RPGs. Don't bother with them for at least a year. I'm just an idiot for jumping in on them.
Yeah, but no, I say virtual tourism. We should do another thing on actual virtual tourism one day because, as I say, you played Cyberpunk and me playing the Yakuza Like a Dragon games. They are the best examples of virtual tourism, I think, and show how you can make good open worlds without having to be empty.
Yeah. What I want to know about Like a Dragon is, which is the one that allows you to play Daytona? Because I'm tempted to buy it just for that.
That's this one. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name.
Cool.
So, just very quickly, like, with that, here's a list of the games, right? This isn't even including, like, the traditional Japanese, like, shogi games and stuff like that, and slot car racing and karaoke. These are just the video games you can play in the arcade. Your Alex Kidd in Miracle World, Alien Syndrome, Enduro Racer, Fantasy Zone 2, Galaxy Force, Global Defense, Maze Hunter 3D, Quartet and Secret Command, Flicky, Virtua Fighter 2, Sonic the Fighters, Fighting Vipers 2, and of course Daytona USA 2.
Oh my god, that's insane!
And as I said in my review, it's a better compilation of retro games than an actual retro game compilation.
That is nuts. That is such good value. Yeah. That's amazing.
And there's claw machines in the arcades and penny pushers and things like that. So, you know.
Wow.
And the game itself is amazing. You know, I'll buy it just to, like, get access, and people will buy it just to get access to Daytona USA. Case in point, Stu.
Precisely.
But yeah, and I like the on all the Yakuza games, the like the arcade retro games you get to play are really well emulated. Again, it's Sega just know how to do things with stuff like that.
They absolutely do. Yeah. Go on, buy it.
But if you want to find out more, about Yakuza Like a Dragon games, check out my coverage on the site. There we go.
Absolutely.
Bit of self-promotion. So, moving on from the Invincible, is that a word? Invincible? I don't know.
No.
From the Invincible world of Cyberpunk to the world of the Invincible. That is really bad.
That's a bad segue. But, I'm interested because I was tempted to buy the Invincible.
It's it's interesting. Kind of went through a stage, didn't we, where we had a lot of games where the thing was, are we starting to see the blend of movie and TV and gaming and stuff like that? You know, is it now just, there's no definitive, here's a video game, here's a TV show, here's a movie, in a way of telling a story. And then we kind of got away from that a bit and went back to traditional video gamey mechanics to tell stories. So what I think you've got here is Starwood Industries have made The Invincible. And it's like a story-driven adventure set on a nondescript planet, shall we say. It might be a real-world planet or real universe planet. I don't know. It might be, might not be. Whatever. It's not one we've been to, Stu, on holiday or anything like that.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to a few.
It's called, Discover the Planet Regis 3. Could be real, don't know. Unless you tell me you went there after going to Cornwall last week. I don't know, whatever. Right? But yeah, you end up on this planet and it's like, oh no, what's going on? Your memory's hazy. And then you get kind of like the story kind of pushes you in a direction where you've got to go. You've got to discover this planet and the story unfolds. And it's got like this typical sci-fi AI type thing that's going on. Your crewmates have missing. You discover maybe you crashed there kind of thing. And sort of like you go, oh no, where are the rest of the crew? And we have to go looking for them. And then you do it, you see some sort of like you get threats from elsewhere that you're like, oh my god, what's this? This is alien, obviously, and I don't know what to do. And then you kind of like there's like choices to be made within the game, and it's according to them, it's very much science driven. In that way, it's not like totally unbelievable, and I always take that kind of thing with a pinch of salt when it's set on a different planet, because it's like, is it? I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I'm too stupid to know the difference. So yeah, so it starts off that you're sort of like you're discovering this world, trying to look for crewmates, and just more and more unfolds, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and then obviously mysteries and science sci-fi type things happen, and it's a really, really intriguing story that's well told. It's well voice acted as well. I can't remember who's in it, if there's anyone of any note in it in terms of voices. I don't think it's got who's the knobhead?
Yeah.
I don't think it's got like Troy Baker or anything in it. Because it doesn't mention him, so I'm guessing he's not in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'll be Troy Baker's The Invincible, starring Troy Baker as Troy Baker. Anyway, so I don't think it's got anyone of note. Apologies if it has, and I'm doing you a disservice. But it's really well acted, voice acted. You get drawn into it really, really well. The atmosphere in it is wonderful. The vistas you get to see are absolutely glorious. And the story is really, really, really intriguing. And for what is generally feeling like a walking simulator for the most part, has quite a lot of interactivity that really bridges, again, a gap that I didn't realise was there between full-on walking simulator and full-on video game. It's managed to find itself a little hole somewhere that we didn't know existed, and then carve something out for itself. It's really, really good, really atmospheric. I wouldn't say enjoyable because it's not a fun game, so to speak, but it's an intriguing game that you want to be part of. It's like watching one of those films where you're a bit on edge watching it and not quite enjoying it, but you can't think of another word for it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, that's good, because that's kind of what I wanted out of it, with it being, it's kind of like a representation of a novel, isn't it? It's trying to, an actual novel, not in the style of a novel. So, yeah, oh, cool. Yeah, no, I'm definitely keeping my eye on that one. I'm not I have to have it now with it, because there's just so much stuff kind of lined up, but I'm definitely going to get it down the line sometime, I think.
Yeah, and we're on one of these again where it's like a decent price. So I should have said, like previously, the Jusant is, or Jusant, again, I'm not French or anything like that, it's just over 20 quid. This is 25 quid. We're looking at really well-made games at a decent price point as well, compared to 70 quid for whatever, broken trash might come out from Activision or whatever. So again, we're finding good prices for good, solid games, and proving once again, indie titles aren't just pixel graphics.
Exactly, yeah. I've played so many this year that are that good.
What about Alan Wake 2? Was you playing that? I'm sure you was playing Alan Wake 2, weren't you?
I am. I can talk more on that next week if you like, because there's more to feedback on that one, I think.
Definitely do, because I think Steph Sterling, I was surprised he'd said, not Steph Sterling, that's something completely different. The new escapist thingy with Yahtzee, I can't remember what it's called, Second Wind.
Second Wind, yeah, he hated it.
He's new show. Yes! And I was like, because he sounded like he was building it up to be something he really liked, and then he went in on it. I was like, oh God, I've missed you. You've only been away a couple of weeks, but I've missed you, Yahtzee.
Do you know, I'm one of them who hasn't heard his reviews for a long time. I need a kind of break from him every now and again. Well, I kind of need to...
Yeah, no, he can get a bit much at times, because he goes for the satirical, I'm going to dump on everything, even if it's good kind of thing, and it can get a bit much.
Yeah, I like people who are kind of chill as well. Kind of, it's...
Like me.
Yeah, exactly. You bring the zen to my life. But,
But
I like dipping in every now and again to some of his stuff, and yeah, it's a really good review, very funny. But yeah, man, he hates that game. Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, check him out. They need your numbers. I don't know.
I'm checking it. I don't think they do. Do you know? Ironically enough, they were like, "Oh, supporters, we're all blah blah blah, this that, and so we're on our own now, blah blah blah." And then there's like 200,000 subscribers, and
I know. I saw the credits after his video, and just went.
I was going to say
five. Can you send me 5 of those?
Patrons. Oh my God.
Yeah.
If they're not bringing in 100 grand a month from that Patreon list, I don't know what they're doing wrong, because that's a huge number of people.
I know. So a bit of cross promotion, yeah? Right, we've done you a favour, Second Wind and Yahtzee and everyone else there, right? We've done you a favour.
Yeah. Just pay it forward, yeah, come on.
Yeah, or pay it back in this case.
Reciprocate, yeah.
Yeah, we want it back. Just 5. 5 of your Patreon subscribers will do. Okay? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Just one I want to touch on briefly, because it's one I don't think I'm going to get a chance to play. I will play enough of it, but it's one of those I'm going to play little bits over many, many months. So it's kind of going to be, I've only played a couple of hours of it, so here's a couple of hour in review. And it's My Time at Sandrock, which is a quasi-sequel of My Time at Porsche, I believe. Okay. I'm sure that's what it is, My Time at Porsche, yeah. It's like a quasi-sequel to that, or set in the same world or whatever. I didn't really play My Time at Porsche, so I don't really know. But basically, it's a life sim, sandbox, adventure, RPG style game. So you play as your character, which you can make as you want, and you turn up on this like ranch type area. It's like desert, like western style Grand Canyon-y type world. And you're the new community builder or something like that. It's an onboarding process because the old one's leaving and you've got to go over, and then you've got to, for some reason, it's all in ruin. So you've got to rebuild the town of, the settlement of Sandrock. You've got to go out, you've got to gather resources, convert them, trade them, etc., etc., etc. Do farming, do building, create relationships, make machines. And you get a workshop, and you've got to turn it into a production, like this facility factory type thing, and make the town of Sandrock an economic behemoth, essentially. And it's got like, you go in there and you meet various different characters. You can romance some of the characters, so it's got like this sim aspect to it. And yeah, I started playing it and I just went, oh, I don't know. This is going to be a bit trash, isn't it? It's like, it's got an art style that I don't know is charming or revolting. I just can't work out what I feel about the art style. It looks a bit mobile-ish, but it doesn't at the same time. But it's so... I can't get my head around it. But not in a negative way. But anyway, it starts off and it does all these things, and it's like, oh, God, it's going to be like very, go and dig this. And maybe it used to be a mobile game, and there's going to be like, you've got to wait half hour for this to happen, or you've got to find all these bits, and they're difficult to find. It's not that. Like, I had some issues earlier where I was finding it difficult to find some stone. I didn't realise you could smash gravel and get stone, so I was like, oh, okay, that's actually really easy now to get the stone to build the thing that took me half an hour to do before I died before. You go round, you collect the bits, you make some stuff, you get told to do other bits, little missions, make some more stuff, and then eventually you get basically left to do your own thing. It's like a 3D version of Stardew Valley, but without that much of the depth of Stardew, or the charm of Stardew Valley, but it still has its own charm. It is so hard to sort of like put into words why it's different and why it's not as good, but it's still good. I suppose it's like saying, buy your £4 steak from Tesco. Yes, it's good, but it's not as good as that fancy £200 steak you got from like that Japanese Wagyu restaurant or whatever, that was cooked by an actual samurai's sword, virgin fire or whatever. I don't know, whatever they say. Yeah, there you go. That's your review. It's like a samurai sword's virgin thigh.
Cool.
But yeah, you go through loads of quests, crafting, building, all that kind of stuff is in there. I'm going to play it with Edith, I think. It's charming enough. There's like, you do have to, like, some enemies, so there's some combat, but they're like cute enemies, critters and stuff like that. And yeah, it's cool. But it's not, I can't say to everyone, you got to go and get this. It's just, it's fine, and I'm enjoying it when I thought I was going to absolutely hate it. So, yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I'm always impressed with things that can drag you to a level of even liking it. You know what I mean? When you generally don't like that kind of thing. So that's quite impressive, yeah.
Yeah, and the building tools are actually pretty good. It's got a lot of freedom with the building and stuff like that goes on. And I've not even got to, like, I've probably got so much more to unlock. And it's still quite restrictive on the whole in terms of what I can do. But you know it's going to let you just go out at some point. It's going to let you just go and go, right, it's all yours now. And, yeah. I think it's definitely one that I've played a couple of hours. I'm going to sit down with Edith now. Once I got through the tutorial stuff. And I think it's one of those I'll play with her on the Steam Deck.
Lovely.
But that's it. 3 good games this week. Start comparison to the last couple of weeks where there was quite a bit of, let's say, middling games.
Garbage. No, I'm only joking.
Garbage.
They weren't garbage. No. Yeah, no, they were middling. Yeah, no, they were all crackers this week.
But who cares about AAA when I've been playing Beep for the past few weeks and it's still really good?
Yeah, when can you talk about Beep, by the way?
I'm just having a look to see when I can talk about Beep. Jesus, I've had this code a long time. I can't even find. There we go. It's right at the bottom of my email list. Embargo November the 27th at 2 p.m.
Ooh, quite a way, yeah. Jeez.
I know. I'm very tempted to do a video on it instead, or I might do video writing and talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah,
because not? Beep is very good.
Absolutely, do it. Right. Yeah. So.
I'll shut up now. Sorry, Stu. I'll shut up now. There's nothing you want to add. Sorry. I always do that. I shut up and then go, what about you?
No, it's all right. No, I was just going to say I'll have to get off because I feel absolutely terrible.
Yep, can indeed.
Great. All right. Well, if you want to just say, blah, 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 I'll shut up now, Stu, and then I'll do the lead out if you like.
Fine. Blah, blah, blah. I'll shut up now.
You cheeky bastard. Is that it? You're really genuinely doing that, are you?
Yep, and you can put that in.
Fair enough. All right, there you go. Peek behind the curtain, a look inside the sausage factory. That's how we do things around here at MHG Towers. But yes, we will speak to you next week. And in the meantime, follow all of our content on the socials. Join us on Discord if you feel so moved. Stay away from being ill because I can testify that it sucks. And in the meantime, until next time, stay safe and stay sane.